Hello guys, welcome to the new video. In this video I'm going to start the leaf, also explain about venation and types of leaf, phyllotaxy and modification of leaf also. So starting with the topic, the leaf. The leaf is a lateral, large, generally flattened structure borne on stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develops into a branch. Leaves originate from shoot apical meristem and are arranged in acropetal order. They are mostly important vegetative organs for photosynthesis. So in this paragraph they are explaining about where the leaves originate, okay, and also what is the main use of the leaf. Okay, so here they are saying they are uh, saying the structure of the leaf. They are generally flattened, okay, borne on the stem. They develop at the nodes and bear a bud in its axil, and the axillary bud later develops into a branch. That means a small bud, a small axillary bud, okay, later develops into a new branch. Okay, and these originate at the apical meristem. Okay, leaves originated from the apical shoots, apical meristem, and are generally in acropetal order. They are mostly important vegetative organs of the photosynthesis. What is the most important function that the leaves prepare? It is a photosynthesis. Okay, then coming to the next paragraph, a typical leaf consists of three main parts, that is leaf base, petiole, and a lamina, that is leaf blade. Okay, a leaf is attached to attached to a stem by a leaf base. Okay, that can be said as leaf base. Okay, and may bear two lateral small leaf like structures called stipules. Okay, stipules. So a leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base, and it also has two small leaf like structures called as stipules. In monocotyledons, the leaf base expands into a sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In some leguminous plants, the leaf base may become swollen, which is called as pulvinous. Okay, see, in monocots, the leaf base is expanded into a sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. Okay, in monocots like wheat and all, the leaf base is it covers the stem partially or wholly. Okay, in monocots, as you can see in wheat. Okay, and in some legume plants, okay, leaf base is swollen and is called as pulvinous. Then the petiole help hold the blade to light. Long, thin, flexible petioles allow the leaf blade to flutter in wind. Okay, so long and thin flexible petioles allow the leaf blade to flutter in the wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to leaf surface. Okay, so petiole has like a significant role. If the petiole is long and thin, okay, and flexible, it allows the leaf blades to flutter. If the wind is fast, the leaves flutter. Okay, by this fluttering of leaves, okay, the cooling effect takes place, cooling the leaf and bring fresh air to the leaf surface. The lamina or the leaf blade is green expanded part of the leaf with the veins and veinlets. Okay, if you take a leaf, okay, the main, like the main midrib, okay, what you can see in the leaf, it is called as the main vein. Okay, and some small branches arising out of it are called as veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein which is known as midrib. Okay, the main middle prominent vein is called as midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade and act as channels of transport of water, minerals, and food materials. The shape, margin, apex, surface, and extent of incisions of lamina varies in different leaves. Okay, that means in the last line they are saying about the shape, margin, apex, surface, and extension of incisions. Incisions are like okay, over here if you see, this is not a clear leaf margin, okay, or like this, it has some cuts over here like this, so these parts are called as incisions. Okay, is it clear? So they are trying to say that each leaf is different from the other one. Okay, here the and also before this line they are saying about the veins and veinlets. The main midrib, okay, is called as the vein, and like the branches arising out from the midrib are called as veinlets. Next, coming to venation, that means arrangement of veins and veinlets on the lamina or the leaf blade. Okay, this is meaning of venation. The arrangement of veins and veinlets in the lamina of a leaf is termed as venation. As I had explained, the arrangement of veins and veinlets. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate venation. Okay. Okay. Over here they have given a figure B. Okay. Let us take this figure B. Okay. See the leaf over here. How is the leaf? It shows us the reticulate venation. See, over here there is a network like structure. Okay, but in the next figure you can see that there we don't have any network kind of structure. Okay, there is one main midrib, okay, or the main vein, and then there are some other veinlets which are parallel to the main vein, okay, or the midrib. But here there are network like structures. Okay, so we don't have any particular parallel situation or rectangle situation over here. Here there is a mesh work or network like structure. Okay, I think they have explained over here very clearly. Let me go through the statements. When veinlets form a network, see, it's very clear over here. When veinlets, okay, when veinlets form a network situation, the venation is called as reticulate. When the veins run parallel to each other with the lamina, okay, within a lamina, the venation is termed as parallel. See, it's very clear over here. If the venation, okay, that means the veinlets are arranged in the form of network, then it is called as reticulate venation. But when the veinlets, okay, when the veinlets are parallel to each other, run parallelly from the base to the tip, then it is called as parallel venation. Leaves of dichotomous plants generally possess reticulate venation, while parallel venation is the characteristic of mostly monocot. Okay, so dicots have reticulate. Okay, so this is very important point that should be marked in NEET. It such kind of questions can be asked. Dicot plants show reticulate venation, and parallel venation is shown by monocot plants. Okay, next, types of leaves. See, in some leaves, okay, if you take uh, a rose leaf, okay, and a hibiscus leaf and a neem leaf, all the three are different kind of leaves. Okay, see, you can see some similarities between the rose and the hibiscus leaf, but the rose leaf or the hibiscus leaf is very much different from the neem leaf. Okay, so we are going to study about the different types of leaf over here. So leaf is said to be simple when the lamina is entire or when incised. The incision do not touch the midrib. When the incision of the lamina reach up to the midrib, breaking into a number of leaflets, the leaf is called as compound. See, they have explained it very simple. When a leaf is said to be simple, the incisions does not touch the midrib. Okay, if the incisions touch the midrib, then it is called as compound leaf. If it does not touch, it is simple. If it touches, then it is compound leaf. Okay. A bud is present in the axial of petiole in both simple and compound leaves, but not in the axial of leaflets of compound leaf. See, it's a very important one. Bud is present in the axial of the petiole in both simple and compound leaf, but in compound leaves leaflets are present, but axial, but not in axial of leaflets of the compound leaf. Okay, is it very clear? If, see, if you take a compound leaf, we have axial over here, but the leaflets of the compound leaf does not have any axial buds, axial buds. Okay, the compound leaf may be of two types. Again, in compound leaf there are two types. One is pinnately compound, another one is palmately compound. In a pinnately compound leaf, a number of leaflets are present on a common axis, the rachis. The common axis on which a number of leaflets are present is called as rachis, okay, which represents the midrib of the leaf, as in neem. See, they have given example also as neem. If you take neem, okay, that leaflets, okay, if you take one leaf of neem, that means you are taking one midrib and also all the leaflets on that midrib, then you are collecting one leaf of the neem plant. If you are taking only one leaflet of the neem plant, then it can't be called as the whole leaf of the neem plant. Okay, is it clear? Next, in palmately compound leaf, the leaflets are attached to the common point, that is at the tip of the petiole, as seen in silk cotton. Okay, so palmately compound leaves are seen in silk cotton. Okay, palmately compound leaves are those leaves where, okay, the leaflets are attached to a common point, that is the tip of the petiole. At the tip of the petiole, all the leaflets are attached. Okay, this is what, this is palmately compound leaf. Next comes phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy means the pattern of arrangement of leaves. Okay, how the leaves are arranged on the branch or on the stem. So the first statement, the first statement is about the definition of phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy or phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or branch. Okay, as I had said, the pattern of arrangement of leaves. This is usually of three types: alternate, opposite, and whorled. Okay, this is at the basic level, and if you go at the higher level, you have much many phyllotaxy. First one is alternate. The type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node in alternate manner. Example is China rose, mustard, sunflower. Okay, see, if you go to China rose, if you see a China rose plant, okay, there you have at one node we have only one leaf. Okay, if one leaf at one node is at the right side, then at the next node, okay, the very next node, okay, the leaf is present on the right side. Okay, so it becomes alternate. Okay, next, in opposite type, a pair of leaf arises at each node and lie opposite to each other, as seen in Calotropis guava plant. Okay, in Calotropis, okay, it's very much commonly available over here. The phyllotax is alternate type. That means a pair of leaves, okay, originate from one single node. From one single node there is a pair of leaf. A pair of leaf means there are two leaves, okay, and they are opposite to each other. Okay, that means if one is in the right hand side, the other will be on the left hand side. Okay, totally opposite. This is opposite phyllotaxy. Then comes whorled. If more than two leaves arises at a node and forms a whorl, is called as whorled, as in
Alstonia.
okay. So whorled is where the node is having many, okay, more than two leaves. This is whorled phyllotaxy. Then coming to the modification of leaves. Leaves are often modified to perform functions other than photosynthesis. See, the main function of leaf, okay, the very important function performed by the leaf is photosynthesis. But, okay, some leaves are there, apart from doing photosynthesis, they also do some extra activities. Okay, so they convert into tendrils, okay, then spines, and there are so many else. So, coming to the point, they are converted into tendrils for climbing as in P, okay, into spine for defense as in cacti, the fleshy leaf of onion and garlic store food. In some plants such as Australian acacia, the leaves are small and short lived. The petioles in these plants expand, become green, and synthesize food. Leaves of certain insectivorous plants such as picture plant, Venus flytrap are also modified leaves. Okay, so they are explaining about the modifications of leaf. First, very most important point. Okay, work that a leaf does is a photosynthesis. Then they are converted into tendrils for climbing. Okay, for climbing, leaves are converted into tendrils. Example is P. And some leaves in some plants are converted into spines for defense. Okay, like cacti and all. Then fleshy leaves of onion, okay, and garlic. Fleshy leaves of onion and garlic. Okay, see, if you take an onion, the first layer which we remove out, okay, which is dry layer, that is called as dry scales, or the dry scaly leaves. Okay, it's called as the scaly leaves, and the fleshy part which we consume, which we eat, is called as fleshy leaves. Okay, those are leaves only, those are not the root. Okay, onion and garlic is fleshy leaves. Then in some plants, the leaves are small and short lived. Okay, the petiole in these plants expand, become green, and synthesize food. So, here petiole expands and synthesize food. Okay, leaves of certain insectivorous plants. Then, coming to the insectivorous plants, okay, here in insectivorous plants, the leaves are modified into the trap system. Okay, like example is picture plant and Venus fly trap. Okay, here the leaf is modified into the capturing part. Okay, so by this I think leaf is completed. The next topic is inflorescence. This I'll take in the next video. If you have understood my explanation, please subscribe. Okay, and if you really like my way of explanation, please hit the like button and share to your friends. Thank you.